You are now listening to the Motown Sports Talk podcast. Here's your hosts, Jordan and Dalton.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. And if you are new here, we appreciate you watching and hope if you enjoy our content that you please subscribe and hit that like button. But now that weird, awkward intro's out of the way, let's get into things. And we've got a lot to talk about today in both the NFL and the NBA. So let's get started with the Lions' big win on Sunday, if you want to call it that. The Lions beat the no-name Washington football team 30-27 on a 59-yard field goal off Matt Prater's kick, which we barely won that game. And if you want to talk about that last drive, I cannot express how angry I was. And I was
going to say, are you talking about our defense last drive?
Yes, the last defensive drive. Well, yes, thank you. The last defensive drive with Washington driving down the field. I was literally pounding my hands on my coffee table and how furious I was because, like, going into this game, I really didn't have a lot of expectations. I was like, it's a football team. I mean, we might win, we might lose. It's whatever. And then we jump out to this huge lead. I'm like, cool, we got a 24-3 lead. We might actually blow someone out for the first time. I mean, it is the football team, but still, we might actually have a chance. And then same thing happens every game. We give up this huge lead because our defense sucks, but like I said, our defense sucked giving up that huge lead, but on that last defensive drive, we had them on third down, I think 5 separate times. One of them was a fourth down, and the refs just kept giving it to them. Like, I swear that one pass interference.
Fox's expert Mike Pereira even said on that pass interference that was clean. It should not have been called.
Yes, the Desmond Trufant phantom pass interference, and then there was a phantom holding call, which as soon as they threw the flag, every single player was like, what is going on? What could have possibly been called? And then they said holding. I forget who the holding was even on. At that point, the refs were just giving them the game. But like I said, somehow, which we'll talk about later, our offense actually looked good, kind of against a pretty much decent defense in the last defensive drive. The Lions won again on against a very bad football team who had a good defense, but we'll get into that later in the episode. But I don't think I can remember a win that felt as much of a loss as this one did. And this is kind of a win that has split the fan base, where there's two sides of the Lions fans who on one side want us to win every single game and want to enjoy every little bit of success that we can string together. And then there's the other half who think that we should just lose out and try to get just a couple higher picks of a draft pick because they think that one player is going to change the entire franchise around, which can lead us into the whole Okuda pick over Tua and Herbert. But that's a whole different conversation. We can get into that at a different time.
I'm just saying that Patricia and Bob Quinn are trying to show that they deserve to keep their jobs. They need to go out there and win games.
Yes.
We beat the Washington football team. Not that big of an accomplishment. And letting them come back that way, it's not an accomplishment. This did not help Patricia no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can go out and string together some good games and actually beat the Carolina Panthers, beat the Vikings the next time we play them, come close to the Packers, beat the Bears. Like, if we can actually win out, which I'm not saying I think we can, because I am not optimistic about this team at all. I want Patricia gone. But I'm just saying, if Patricia can actually show that he can win, and, like, they're trying to win
against good teams,
and he's trying to save his job, then play for the win. Play to win games. Like, you don't just give up.
Yes, of course. And again, I'm an optimistic fan, and I feel like that I can never root for a team to lose no matter what. Even last year when we were 3 and whatever, those last few games of the year, I still wanted us to win. I just
I didn't. I wanted us to lose because I wanted the higher draft pick. I want to Chase Young. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, I want to Chase Young too. But again, last year's a whole different story. But I'm just saying, like, I watch every game hoping to win. I sit and watch every game. Unfortunately, I suffer through it every Sunday and put myself through that misery, and I just want them to win. So I can never root for them to lose. It's enjoying, even if it means nothing. Like, if we would have won the last game of the season last year, it would have meant nothing except for, like you said, maybe dropping us down a few picks in the draft. But still, it feels good to have a win. Even though, like I said, it doesn't feel like a win, it's still a win, and it does feel better to be on the winning side than on the losing side.
Which,
But
I mean, for you optimistic fans, we are 4-5. We are right there in playoff contention, but we're right there to say if Seattle keeps losing or
well, the
if
Saints
we,
just lost Drew Brees too.
that's
So
yeah. So we can get lucky and make the playoffs, but it's Patricia needs to be able to coach and get us the wins that we
yeah.
need. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, we'll see. But like I said, I agree. I don't think Matt Patricia's the coach, and there's a lot of problems, which again we'll get into right now. There's a lot of things that we can take away from this game. So the first thing is the fact that our defense made a 36-year-old quarterback in his first start in over 2 years look like an all-star.
Over 780 something or 92 games or something or days.
Which again is one of the things that scares me most about this team. We have the exact same issue that we have had for years, it seems like, which is our linebacking core. It seems like right now Jamie Collins and Reggie Ragland have basically been our most productive linebackers.
And Gerard Davis. I was gonna say those three I'm okay with, but after those three, which we all know Patricia loves subbing in and out players, after those three, you don't really
Yes, it sucks.
there's nothing. Yeah.
It's just every single week. It's the same thing. It's those, you put someone really fast in the slot, they go up, cut that slant route real quick, and they're always past their linebackers. They always beat them in coverage, and it's always for a 5 to 10 yard gain, just enough to get that first down, keep that drive going. Every single time, I swear, it's been it's ever since Matt Patricia has taken over. I feel like our linebacker core has been a very big issue, especially considering only Christian Jones and Jelani. Christian Jones only played 22% of snaps, who was supposed to be a big acquisition, and Jelani Tavai only played 12% of snaps this game. He was a second-round pick last year, and this is supposed to be his second year. Obviously, I don't know if he's going through some type of sophomore slump or if he's a bust. I think it's too early to call him a complete bust, but again, he has not looked good this year at all. And again, his playing time is being diminished significantly. I mean, as far as our pass rush goes, I mean, there still wasn't much, but it did seem like on almost every single down, Romeo Okwara was somewhere in the backfield getting some type of pressure on Alex.
I was going to say, we had good pressure.
Yeah.
We didn't get sacks, we didn't get hits, but we got a lot of pressure. Lots of the time, we had Alex Smith rolling out or just getting the ball off with pressure right there in his face.
Yeah, the only player who really did, I mean, Okwara did get a sack, but also Everson Griffin did have.
I was going to say, Everson Griffin, once Trey Flowers is coming back, I am going to like that because Everson Griffin, yeah, he's not getting sacks, but if you actually watch the games, he is getting so much pressure. He is just yeah, he's not getting the numbers that you look at, but if you actually watch the game and pay attention, he does everything right and does what he needs to.
He still had 5 quarterback hits in the game, and he picked up a sack too. So again, he looked pretty good in that game. And again, maybe him
and Romeo Okwara is just having a great year. So you throw in Trey Flowers, which Trey Flowers was having a pretty good year too. Honestly, those three, I will be excited about those three playing together.
Exactly. Once we get Flowers back, I think our D-line is going to be way better. Yeah, also, I mean, Austin Bryant, again, he didn't, like you said, he didn't really pick up a lot of big numbers on the stat sheet, but if you watch the game, it looked like he was getting into the backfield a lot, and he played 50% of defensive snaps, so I don't know if that's in correlation of Trey Flowers being out, or if that's just him. He looked pretty good last week, too, even though we did terrible against the Vikings. He looked okay, and again, he looked okay. It didn't look like he was great. He looks like he's still coming into form, but he is fast, and he does get pressure, and he does get into the backfield pretty fast too. So he might be a player to watch in the upcoming weeks. Again, with Flowers out, again, obviously he's going to be out this week, but possibly the following week, maybe, we don't know, but maybe watch out for Austin Bryant because he might be a player to really step up and hopefully get some help out our pass rush, which we really need. Another thing, again, the defensive line is looking okay. Will Harris, his snap count dropped significantly. He only played 4 snaps on defense and was mostly used on special teams. So Will Harris, again, is a player who has dropped off the map.
I was going to say Jermaine Kearse was in a lot.
Yeah, Jaron Kearse.
Jaron Kearse, yeah.
Yeah, and Yeah, Jaron Curse has pretty much taken the spot over Will Harris, and Will Harris was supposed to be the guy who was supposed to fill in for Quandre Diggs and take his spot. So again, that's another spot that'll be kind of interesting to walk. Tracy Walker he has stepped up. He looks amazing. And again, you could definitely tell last week when he was out that we struggled, but with him back, that's the problem. The secondary is pretty decent. They don't really let up huge plays in the passing game. It's always those dink and dunk passes that always just result in first downs, just enough to keep it going. And then our pass rush seems to be okay, but it's not good enough that he could get it out in time. So again, we just need those linebackers who can bring that extra pressure. One more thing about the defense. The Lions did play 69.6% of defensive snaps in the zone in the first half, which we only allowed 3 points in the first half. And then we ended up switching to 62.9% man coverage in the second half. And then that's when we blew a 20-point lead.
And that's in the thing of, we have the lead. Let's play a little bit back. Let's play what we want. Like,
he just gets he gets too conservative when we get the lead. And that's what when we get the lead, it makes me nervous that I would rather be playing from behind, because he lets off the gas and he stops bringing pressure. It seemed like once we got the lead in the second half, he was only bringing 3 players every single down. Like, he wasn't bringing any pressures or any packages or anything like that.
And that's what Patricia does, and that's the reason we lose so many games by being up and then losing it, because he gets these leads and then he goes, okay, we have this double-digit lead, like, let's stop being aggressive, let's fall back, let's just do this. And the teams know you're gonna do that.
Yep.
You're playing Alex Smith, a veteran quarterback that at one time was compared to Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. He's obviously gonna know that, they have a 24 or 21-point lead. I know they're falling back into man coverage. Terry McLaurin's faster than all our corners.
Yeah, Terry McLaurin is an upcoming all-star.
I was going to say, he just had to do that short little route, and boom. He's faster than all our players. And obviously Smith knows, they're playing man, so I know he's really only going to be covered by one person. You have to be smart. And Patricia I don't know. Like, he just lets off the gas and let's just play man. Just man the entire time. Like, you can't do that. You've got to switch it up. You still got to bring pressure. You don't let the foot off the gas. If you win 55-2 or 3, can't really get 2. I mean, you kind of safety, but 55-3, nobody cares. Nobody's going to be like, wow, you guys really had to do them like that. Like, no, nobody's going to care.
Exactly. It's just, you think when you look at numbers like that Matt Patricia automatically goes, we should play more zone, which, like, obviously, like you said, you can't just play zone 100% of the time. You have to be able to switch it up and be versatile, but clearly you can't switch it up for that extended period of time, because that's when we allow points. And also, if you look at something on the season, if you look at all the wins the Lions have, those were all games where we played either 55 or less % of man coverage. I mean, they were all less than 50%, except one game. I think it was the Jaguars. We played 55% of man coverage the entire game. But other than that, all the games that we've won are less than 50% of man coverage. So clearly it's the zone that is the more effective, that gets us these wins. And this is all according to ESPN stats and info, which I'll link down below in case anyone's interested or doesn't believe me in what I'm saying. But yes, it's just a continuous problem that Matt Patricia has, that he lets off the gas when we get a lead. Basically, if you come to a big lead, he lets off the gas. So moving on to the offense, which was actually a pretty big surprise, as you started to mention earlier. Washington did have I believe, the number 1 pass defense going into the game, and they also had a pretty strong front 7. I mean, especially defensive.
I was going to say 5 of their front D linemen are first-round picks.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, they have Chase Young, they have Montez Sweat, they have a bunch of other big name
Ryan
guys.
Kerrigan.
Yeah, they have a lot of big name guys, so they're a good defense. Obviously, they don't have the wins to prove it, but they still have a pretty good defense. And obviously, it wasn't a blowout like it should have been, but our offense looked good against what was supposed to be a good pass defense, even without Kenny Galladay and Jamal Agnew, who, even if people don't think so, Agnew does draw a lot of attention from the defense just because of his playmaking ability. That's why we use him in like fake jet sweeps. That's why we use him all over the field, to draw the attention, to try and fake.
Because the teams know that he has that potential of breaking a huge play.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's in, they're like, are they going to do some kind of trick play? Are they going to do a jet sweep? Like, so he is going to draw that attention.
Yeah.
Because he's that kind of player.
Exactly. I saw a lot of people saying that having Jamal Agnew out isn't that big of a loss, that Cephas can fill his roles. But no, like I said, Agnew, he is a big part of this offense. Obviously, Cephas wasn't even active for a few games, and they were having Agnew play a lot more snaps on offense. So clearly, he is a big part of the offense. Galladay obviously is a huge, like, number one target this season so far. I don't know if that's the same since he's been out.
I will say Marvin Jones has stepped up in these last couple of games without Kenny.
Yeah, again, Marvin Jones has stepped up. He's stepped back into his role, and I think Kenny just kind of overtook him and his thing. That's why he wasn't getting the numbers and yards that he wanted because Kenny was there. But yeah, again, with Kenny Galladay and Jamal Agnew out, we still spread the ball all over the field. There were tons of people catching the balls. Hawkinson, even though he was hurt, still caught a few balls. And then, like you said, Marvin Jones stepped up really big. Even our O-line played really well.
Yes, they did. I was going to make a comment about that. Our O-line played really well.
Yes, like we just mentioned, against a really good defensive lineman. Decker and Ragnow are both playing at all-time, all-pro levels right now. And
Jonah Jackson, too.
Yeah, Jonah Jackson's looking good. Crosby is getting a lot better, too. I think he had a 77% overall, which I correct me if I might be wrong on this, but I think that's his highest overall pass grade of the season so far, according to PFF. Again, it comes to the same thing. When it comes down to play calling, once we got that lead, it looks like we just let up off the gas because we were so aggressive in the first half with all these aggressive play calling. Like, it looked like Bevel was actually switching it up. He wasn't just doing the same old vanilla crap. But then in the second half, once we got a lead, it was just run, pass, run, pass, 3rd and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. It's like, it just, and again, I don't know if this comes back to Patricia. Like we said, is it Patricia who is trying to tell them to pull off the gas and like just slow down, be more conservative, and be more vanilla? Or is this Undelin and Bevel's play calling? Is this how they are? But again, I'm not really sure what it comes down to. The biggest thing that we can take away from yesterday, which we already knew from earlier in the season, but DeAndre Swift is a dude. He's
going to be a star running back. He is going to be an all-star running back in this league.
I was so excited when we drafted him, and I thought he was the best running back coming out of the draft. Honestly, when we drafted him, I was jumping up and down. I was so excited. And I mean, there's still a lot of time to decide that between who's the best back, but he definitely made his presence felt yesterday. And again, was it against the Jaguars that he had the breakout game before? It's just, if the Lions would have been using him like this from the start, he would have way more games like this, and who knows how many more victories we would have because of it. He carried the ball 16 times for 81 yards yesterday and added a reception touchdown as well. He was averaging 5.1 yards per carry yesterday, which obviously also speaks volumes to our offensive line as well. They did a great job. But he's also averaging 4.7 on the season so far, which again, not even playing that much, that still is amazing.
He's such a good runner. Like, he is like an Adrian Peterson, and I don't know if Adrian Peterson taught him this, but he is so, like, waits to see where is open, where to run through, and then hits the hole. Yes, and then hits the hole and goes and is able to go past the line, able to make defenders miss, hurdle the guy. Like, Swift is going to be an all-star running back in this league.
Oh yeah,
in the future.
He is
There's no doubt about it.
If the Lions decide to rebuild, he is, like I said, a huge building block that we're gonna have to keep. And I know you don't really pay running backs that well, which we still have 3 to 4 years to decide if we have to pay him a huge contract. But again, so far it's looking like he's gonna earn a really big deal, and I think that the Lions should keep him around for a long time. Yeah, he just looks amazing, like you said. He looks like
he's the perfect running back. He can run the ball, but then can also receive the ball and catch the ball and do that. So he's not just a running back, and he's also not just a receiving back, which that's been the Lions' problem. We've either had one that can only run the ball and can't really catch, or one that can only catch and can't really run. So having one that can do both is just so much better for your offense, because then when he's in, the defense are like throwing it, are they running it? Like, you confuse them.
That's been the biggest thing for Stafford's entire career. I've always said, give him an offensive line, give him a running back, and he will win you a Super Bowl. Obviously, I don't think that's going to happen this year, but again, we still have the rest of the season to figure this out, and the offseason, depending if we change coaches, if they clean house or whatever. But if we keep this team and regime, maybe if we end up making the playoffs and we keep the head coach, I really do think the offense anyways, not the defense. Again, the defense is totally completely different story. We need to figure that out. But the offense itself is looking good. The offensive line is looking good. Stafford, he's had his couple bad games.
I was going to say, Stafford stepped it up this week.
Yes. 0
turnovers, 0 interceptions. Like, Stafford really stepped it up.
Yeah, like I said, either way, the offense is looking good, and Swift is going to be a running back to be feared in the league for years to come, as long as we can keep using him instead of going back to AP. If we go back to AP every round, that's going to piss me off. Yeah, as far as injuries goes, as you just mentioned it, we came out mostly unscathed, but Stafford did suffer a minor injury to his thumb. And yes, as you just mentioned, the x-rays came back negative. He is undergoing more tests today to see if there's any other damage or to the rest of his hand or anything like that. Hopefully that we'll have to monitor that as the week goes on. I'm sure he's going to be limited all week just as a precautionary thing, just to not...
But I mean, even after he throwing the ball, it didn't look bad. He had some good throws.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that last throw up to Cephas.
Yeah. As far as injury goes with Stafford with the thumb, and then Danny Amendola did limp off the field towards the end of the game. I haven't seen any updates on him as of today. I haven't heard anything, so I'm still waiting to see. I'm assuming it's not too bad, because if it was any type of ACL or anything bad, it would have been reported.
It would already,
be reported already. So I'm assuming it's nothing major. And he also hasn't been placed on IR yet today. So again, that's another good sign that he might just be week to week. He might even not miss next week. Again, we'll just have to wait and see what the injury.
Might have just been a little rolled ankle or just at first.
And it was, like I said, it was towards the end of the game, and he didn't come back in. I think it might just been towards the end, but again, it might have just been late. We'll have to see. But yeah, so now we'll move on and we'll switch gears a little bit to the NBA, where there is a lot of news to discuss. We haven't really talked about it. There's been a lot of breaking news over the last week or so. So they have finally settled on a start date. It looks like the start date is going to be December 22nd. The draft is going to be this week, November 18th at 8 p.m. The Pistons select 7th overall, unless they somehow trade that either up or down, or who knows. We'll see. There is some talk that they might be moving, but we'll just have to wait and see. Then it also looks like free agency will begin on the 20th of November. So also coming up 2 days after the draft.
Friday.
Yep, 2 days after the draft, free agency will start. And then just a couple details. Probably the biggest detail regarding the season is that it's actually going to be reduced by 10 games, and it's going to be a 72-game season instead of a full 82-game season.
There's no All-Star game this year either.
Yep, there's going to be no All-Star game or any...
There's going to be an All-Star break. I think there's a break, but there's no actual game or anything.
Yeah, it's just basically like a mid-season break, but just no All-Star, no events, anything like that. And so it looks like the NBA is going to continue like normal. Hopefully they can kind of finish the season on time. That's kind of why they cut back the 10 games, which, I mean, they might do a couple more back-to-backs and just try to cut the season down. Hopefully it'll look good. It looks as there's going to be it's going to go as normal. There's going to be no word on any bubble situation or anything right now. Teams are still just going to be traveling daily, and which we saw how that worked out with MLB. We'll just have to wait and see if the COVID, and I know there's supposed to be a vaccine and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, and a whole nother topic.
I was going to say, teams, obviously fans, if your state's allowing them, you're allowed to have fans. I know Golden State said that they're going to pay $50 million to have top of the line testing and everything for all the fans, coaches, players, everyone. Well, so they can have fans in the stadium and everything.
I think it's going to be a limited. Well, again, we still have about 2 months.
Oh yeah, it's going to be limited.
Well, no, I mean, I was going to say a limited time. They're probably only going to let fans in for a limited time unless there's a big spike or something. Then they'll be all right, no more fans. But again, we still have a month before the season starts, so we still got time. But there's been some breaking news regarding the Detroit Pistons as of yesterday morning. So the Pistons, they traded away former second-round pick Bruce Brown to the Brooklyn Nets for a 2021 second-round pick, Bizan Musa. I'm sorry, I probably butchered that name. Yeah, so it just looks like there's a lot of uncertainty around the Pistons right now. I thought he was going to be a really good young player to build around. I know he wasn't an all-star or anything, but he had a really good defensive presence. That's and again, that's another big, just like the Detroit Lions with their linebackers, that's kind of been the Pistons' Achilles heel for a long time, has been their defense. We've always had one or two good players on defense, but other than that, as a team, we just couldn't come together as a good defense, and it's been an issue for a little while. So I'm not really too happy about it right now, but again, I guess we'll see what we do with that draft pick next year. And I just think this is Troy Weaver. He's obviously a new GM. I'm pretty sure, I'm guaranteed this is his first time ever as the GM like actual GM of a team. I know he was, I think, the assistant GM for the Thunder, so he's just trying.
I mean, he helped the Thunder get a lot of assets.
That's what I'm saying. So I think he's just trying to start over and build, because we're finally got Josh Smith. This is the first year we aren't paying Josh Smith, correct? Yeah. So we finally have a little bit more cap space.
We're hoping that he can turn this franchise around, because this is the first GM we've had since Joe Dumars.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me about that. But, I mean, yeah, again, I think he's just trying, like as you mentioned, just trying to build assets. He's trying to do maybe kind of what the 76ers did in rebuilding. I mean, it took them a long time, but they got a lot of high draft picks, and eventually they still haven't won a championship, but they're getting there. They're getting better. A couple more NBA bits and news just around the league before we get off for the day. It looks like Chris Paul was traded to the Phoenix Suns to be paired with Devin Booker, and I know you're a big Devin Booker fan, so...
Oh yeah, I'm a huge Devin Booker fan. Like, I'm not quite a Suns fan, but I'm a huge Devin Booker fan, and like I want the Suns to just do well for Devin Booker.
Yeah, they've been terrible for a long time, and it sucks that he's such a good player for them.
But with adding Chris Paul, which Chris Paul did amazing this season after everybody said he was washed and everything, he did amazing out there in OKC. It led him to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So adding him with Devin Booker, I'm excited about that team.
Yeah,
with DeAndre Ayton at center too, like I am excited about that big three.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
And they have they don't have a pretty high draft pick, but they have like a middle order draft pick that if they even get like just a role player out of that, like that fits well with those three. Like I think that Suns team, obviously they went 8-0 in the NBA bubble and just missed the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that team could be a somewhat good team going into this year. Obviously the West is just stacked.
Yeah, it is. And then speaking of the West, you have Russell Westbrook and James Harden, who both want out of the Houston Rockets, so that can be interesting. James Harden supposedly was offered the highest contract in NBA history.
$50 million extension.
Yep, supposedly, according to rumors, and he turned that down, saying he wants to go play with the Nets and be reunited with Kevin Durant from when
Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Back when he used to play, obviously, in OKC, when it was Russell Westbrook, Durant, and James Harden way back in the day. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Again, free agency is going to be here soon. We got the draft coming up. There's going to be a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of movement. We'll cover all of it here in the show. Not all of it. We'll cover the major parts.
I was going to say another huge trade that did happen was Dennis Schroeder to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Oh, it did happen?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. Okay, so yeah, that is a big trade.
Yeah, they traded Danny Green and I think either like their first round pick. It was their second round pick because they don't have their first round pick. So yeah, it was Danny Green, the second round pick.
So the Lakers don't have any picks this year?
No.
And Anthony Davis opted out to be a free agent as well this year too.
But he's getting re-signed. He wants to stay in LA with LeBron.
I was going to say, with them having no draft picks, they better if they're going to try and do something this year. So,
but I was going to say, adding Dennis Schroeder to that team is...
Yeah, he's a good pickup. Especially, I mean, Rajon Rondo's getting older. I don't know if he's under contract for this year or not, or if he signed a one-year deal. But yeah, Dennis Schroeder pickup is going to be good, especially having LeBron and AD on the team, because he doesn't have to be that all-star that... All right, yeah, like I said, we still got a month till the season starts. Draft is this week. Free agency starts right after that. So lots going to be happening in the NBA. We'll be covering all the major points. Again, any major moves, anything like that, we'll be covering it. Obviously, we're going to cover all the Pistons moves, see what they do, who they draft, talk about that. So now that the season's starting, we're going to get a little bit more into the NBA. Hopefully, I mean, obviously with the way the Lions have been doing, they haven't been the best, but we'll see how it goes. And we'll, again, we're trying to be a more all-around sports show instead of just about strictly the Lions, but we'll see how it goes. We got a lot to talk about here soon, and hopefully the Lions do pick up, and I mean, maybe we will win a playoff game. I mean, I don't know if we'll win a playoff game. I don't even know if we'll get there, but we'll see what happens. All right. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We always appreciate it, as always, and we'll see you again next time.